Hi, welcome back to Relationships Rebuilt. And today I have a second part of the series about the modern woman's playbook for navigating toxic anger in male relationships. And today I'm going to show you how to understand what's going on in your man's head when he seemingly blows up over minimal things. And you just have no idea what caused it, how to deal with it. And it can be scary, right? It can spiral and blow up into a full fight, and that is really frustrating for you, and it can be scary. But you need to know this, okay? In understanding what's going on with male anger, it's really about the immediate problem. It's a signal, and it's telling you that there's something else going on in his head, which is unresolved. And that tends to be the main source of male anger in relationships. So that's why today I'm going to help you to dig into where the anger actually comes from. The first thing that you will need to understand is about external factors. The external stresses, the pressures outside of your relationship that can spill over into your daily life and interactions, whether that be work stress, financial problems, health challenges, parenting. There's myriad examples. So here's an example. Recently, my client Sarah came to me. Her partner Tom came home from work seemingly every single day, upset. Okay, his boss is demanding. He barely had time to breathe. And when Sarah asked him how she was, he just snapped. He picked on her for any little thing. Oh well, the food's not hot. Um, any really myriad things, and it was becoming a consistent pattern. Now, I told Sarah that really this frustration is not about her or the dishes. It's about the emotional weight that he's been carrying around, which is not shared, and that's probably a familiar thing. Women do it too, but with men, when they feel frustrated and angry, testosterone generally kicks in. That's the male hormone that makes us want to fight, makes us feel strong, and it can cause poor behaviour, lashing out over something small. So just try and understand if you sense there's an external factor at play, go for that first. Okay, don't deal with his immediate reaction, which is to lash out, but just say, oh look, I know today seems to be rough for you. If you need to talk about it, I'm here. That sort of empathy diffuses his desire to lash out. Okay, it makes him feel safe. And when you acknowledge that root cause of the anger, you'll find it easier to connect with him rather than react to him. The latter of which will probably gaslight the situation. And again, it's not your fault. I'm not justifying his behavior. I'm trying to get you to uh, really negotiate and take the steam out of situations by understanding where it's coming from. Now, secondly, we can deal with internal factors. Now, the external ones like work, money, finance, etc., they're much easier to spot. But when there are internal factors, internal stresses going on in his head, those are easier. Sorry, those are way more difficult to spot because these are often unresolved emotional wounds, past traumas, or even learned behaviors that is picked up from his household. In fact, going back to the Sarah and Tom situation, Tom grew up in a household where he really wasn't allowed to express his emotions. Okay, as a young boy, as a teen, and even as a man. Anytime he showed any vulnerability, his father in particular just told him to man up, toughen up. If you have that pattern as a boy, and I've been through this myself, then you find it very difficult to share the innermost feelings. And people do not understand that. They tend to be scared of it. So this would explain why he was defensive with Sarah, not because he not because of her, but he feels that really if he's open, then that feels scary. He's going to be exploited. It's fear of vulnerability. And those internal factors are really tied to deep emotional wounds. And those are very often not resolved, especially in men. Okay, we're not wired and we're not taught by society to share. So, to help you more with this, I can point you to some research by Dr. James Gilligan, who's actually worked very widely with violent men. And very often, shame is at the real root of male anger. Men frequently feel shame when they feel like they've failed, especially in relationships, more than women. It's especially true if they feel like they're not meeting their female, their wife or partner's emotional needs, they feel ashamed about it. And they often feel responsible for that lack of happiness. And then it gets worse because the man will internalize it as a failure on his part. I've done that myself. Oh, yeah. It's a practice. So one thing I didn't do is turn to anger, but that's partly wiring. Every man is different. But most men will actually, get quite angry about that and feeling frustrated about being perceived as a failure. And then rather than tuning into Sarah's pain, Tom reacted with anger because the shame is too difficult and painful to face directly. Similarly, when women are unhappy about the relationship or criticize a man's behavior, they feel that as a personal attack. Instead of understanding that it's about the situation or behavior, they internalize it as an attack on their worth as a man. And that triggers that familiar male defense mechanism. Okay. And that usually escalates into more intense arguments. So, to help you along with this, if you think about your own emotional triggers, the best advice I can give is to understand and respond with intention rather than to react. And this if you do that and recognize that there are triggers in you, then that can lead to more compassion, less confrontation. So in this situation, think about a past experience, which may be from your childhood or a previous relationship, and think about whether that's actually impacted how you handle that male anger today. So going back to the shame and understanding why men get angry, let's just go in a little bit more into that, because according to Dr. John Gottman, men's anger often stems from emotional flood. It's they're overloaded, and that's caused by unresolved issues from the past. And that shame makes them feel inadequate or unworthy. Women, when you're unhappy, ladies, especially if it's something that a man has done, it hits him harder than you think, and it's usually internalized as failure. And that turns into that defense mechanism, and that turns to anger to protect himself from feeling ashamed. That research of Dr. Gilligan show that men use aggression or defensiveness to mask the shame that they're actually feeling. And that attack on their masculinity affects their ability to be a good partner. And they react in ways that are harmful. Try and not think it's about you. Okay, I know it's very difficult and it can be scary. But when anger shows up, and think about what's beneath and ask if there's anything else that is making you this mad. There's probably some shame, there's probably some frustration, and it's coming out in a really, toxic way. And I hope that gives you some sort of understanding about how to have more empathy and compassion and not to hit back. It's very, very difficult, but that will make the situation worse. Okay, it's not excusing his behavior, it's not excusing his rudeness or whatever. Step back, give him time to think, and ask a question. Okay, what's going on inside? Most guys will really appreciate that more than you think, and it will help open them up. Most of my women clients say, he doesn't open up to me. These are the reasons why. Okay. So we've covered a lot. So I'm going to break off here before I go to the next step in the next video, which is to spot the triggers before they escalate. If you identify them early, that can prevent conflict before they even start. And so I'd encourage you to sign up and subscribe to this playlist, because there's a lot of useful information that will really help improve your relationship, and quickly. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you if there's any particular external stresses or internal wounds that are surfacing in your relationship. Do share, how you manage, whether you need help, and what do you think might be behind your partner's anger. Do share your comments, like, subscribe, hit the bell below so you don't miss any new strategies and insights to help you deal with male anger in your relationship. Honestly, there's so much more to deal with, and you will not want to miss the next video about those triggers. And finally, as ever, if you're struggling, you need someone to talk to, feel free to reach out here or my contact details, and I'm here to help. You don't have to do this alone. Okay, stay strong, stay happy, and take care, and I'll see you in the next video.